Welcome. Today's project's on a very powerful anxiety recovery technique that puts a barrier between the new ideal you and the old anxious you. Anxiety recovery is about moving yourself, propelling yourself forward uphill towards a goal. That goal being this new empowering you. What does that new you look like? And the best way to do this is to model after somebody. Model after someone who went through the same life challenge as you and have gotten better. What did they do? How do they act? What do they say? What do they look like? What's their posture like? What's their mannerisms like? What do they say regularly that supports their identity? Anxiety sufferers are running on poor beliefs. And these beliefs are supported by past trauma, maybe from your childhood, the poor beliefs you absorbed from your parents, or it could be the patterns you run on a daily basis, or a combination of both. You've been practicing anxiety for such a long time. And so how do you get from being this anxious person to being this ideal you? Because the bar seems so high. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Set the bar slightly above where you're currently at so you propel yourself forward, because that bar can seem too intimidating. Set the bar higher than what you're at now. And this technique is a great way to put that barrier between the new you and that old anxious self. So it gets you moving towards the new you and blocking out and moving that old identity further and further away. The technique is called say it in past tense. Now, when you say something in the past tense, I used to be a smoker, you're literally separating yourself from that old identity. You're looking at that old smoker, let's say, as a different aura, a different energy, a different person. And by saying, I used to be a smoker, you're telling your unconscious mind and hardening that belief that I used to be that way, but I'm not now. So if you continually say, I used to be an anxious person, your unconscious is listening and understanding. If you say, I was a coffee drinker, but now I drink decaf, your unconscious is listening. You can say, I used to Google my symptoms. By saying this out loud to yourself or other people around you, you're hardening that new identity. You're separating yourself from that old anxious you. Your unconscious is listening, but at first, your unconscious will be like, I don't believe you. You are anxious. I don't believe you. You are a smoker. I don't believe you. You are shy. You are awkward. At first, your unconscious is going to be like that. If you let it, that negative voice, that will pull you back into your anxious self. You're going to experience some resistance, some cognitive dissonance. But remember that if you consistently say this, your unconscious will then start to believe that, oh, you are actually a social butterfly. You can go to the shopping mall. You'll start to believe this and support the new identity, that new you, that ideal person. And By saying these phrases in the past tense, you're cutting and chopping off the legs that supports your anxious identity. So to get to that ideal you have to consistently practice these kinds of techniques that support the new anxious guy or girl. And that propels you towards that new powerful you. So do this on a daily basis and you will see results. Do it when you're around family. Oh, I used to be like that. And that actually reduces that reassurance seeking because it's so easy to talk about your problems, your symptoms when you're in that kind of scenario. But when you say to your family, I used to talk about my symptoms, I used to complain about this or that, what happens then? Your unconscious is like, oh, this is what he or she wants. And then it starts to understand. It starts to get it. And you start to shift. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Remember, do not let anxiety define who you are, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.